songwriters, right? We had Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington, right? And how do you guys feel about like what it is we're doing? I mean, I feel like we're doing our best here. Whether or not anyone's even paying attention, sometimes
there's just so much.
So what do we do? What do we do?
I think we have
to keep plugging forward.
I think that's exactly it. I think that to a point we have to get at government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a tough thing because the government says they only have so many dollars. Well, 7% of the healthcare budget goes to mental health.
That's it, right?
That's 7%.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, like we're at epidemic numbers now, where there's more people in Canada that have mental illness than have cancer. You know, we poured, and I have nothing against cancer, but we pour millions, billions of dollars into cancer.
Yeah.
Why can't we pour millions and billions of dollars into mental health and maybe provide them with another place so that they're not at, overcapacity? Like, I've been to the LHSC struggling, talking to a nurse and them say, if you're not at immediate risk, you have to go home and call the crisis line every 2 hours.
Right.
Which, like, thank God I have the, at least support enough to call them.
Yeah.
That I have people in my life that I need to say, hey, I'm supposed to call this crisis center, and they'll make sure that I do.
Yeah.
But if I don't have that, then I don't know if I would call that crisis center every 2 hours, right? Or I don't know if I would want to go back to a mental health facility that was overcrowded.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I'm there to get some help, ultimately, right?
And I think there's a big disconnect or discrepancy. Like, some people think mental health, and they think, like, I don't want to go mental health because they picture like crazies and you've seen on TV
like
movies, right?
Like one
I don't belong there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's just stuff like where we're stuffing in our heads and it's negative, and we just don't know what to do with it.
I think we need to get rid of it. Like, we need to disconnect shame and stigma away from mental illness, right?
Right.
There's so many solid people and solid humans in Canada that live with mental illness that you'd never guess because they haven't spoken out about it. But if they told you, hey, I suffer from depression, you'd say, wow, like, I'm not alone. They suffer from the same thing. And I think that we don't need to mainstream it, but we don't market mental illness, right? We market one day a year on Bell Let's Talk Day, and that's wonderful.
Right.
But we live with mental illness, a lot of people, every single day.
Yeah, what if someone's having a good day on Bell Let's Talk Day?
Exactly.
No one's going to need you.
No,
right?
And that's exactly. I think that should motivate us as guys on Sunday night that what we're doing, it may not seem like we're having an impact, but I guarantee you we are.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
I think that should motivate us to just keep going and talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
We talk about it pretty candidly.
Yeah.
We don't hold any shame when we talk about our own mental illness or our own struggles. And maybe we can portray that out to people that they don't have to, feel shame. But at the same time, what doctor's going to listen to three guys on a couch?
Right.
Maybe they should.
Yeah.
Right? But what doctor's going to say, I'm going to go watch the Sex and Suicide podcast?
Not many.
There's not many, right? But maybe they need three guys to walk into a mental health facility and say, hey, this shit's real. And it's okay to be
Tell
here.
us your story.
Right.
Let's mainstream this. Let's normalize it. Let's have a conversation in every, living room about depression.
Right.
That it's not a bad thing.
I think that you're absolutely right, and maybe instead of just like this whole mental illness thing is running rampant right now, and instead of addressing it after the fact, don't you think maybe I think what if all of us were brought up in a way that we knew how to handle anyone that was potentially suicidal?
Right. Yeah.
So early in our youth, when we were just little guys running around, what if someone actually told us how to deal with people that were in the school system, that were dealing with what anxiety was, what depression was, what suicide looked like, even, or what to do if you, and know that you're not afraid to talk about it. So
unfortunately, we've had a curriculum that's been around for 60 years in school, and we'll talk about sexual health
but not even that.
How to put a condom on a banana.
Yeah.
There's sexual health.
Right.
And we don't talk about mental health. You know what I mean? We talk about physical development a little bit in gym class.
Right.
But all of us go through mental health.
Yeah.
We all have mental health. We all have physical health. We all have emotional health.
But it should almost be as common as a driver's license.
Right.
I mean, as soon as you hit the age of 18, you
should go to curriculum or something like that.
Exactly. You should have your mental health first aid at the very least. So that if you see someone struggling, you know that...
You can pick up on the signs of depression.
Yeah, and you know that 90% of the time, that person just needs you to be there and listen.
Right. That's it. They don't need anyone to be a doctor or practitioner around you.
Right.
They feel alone. They just want
someone, right? They just need someone, and that's not about being codependent. That's just being, I need some support. And what's
Right.
wrong with saying, I think it's harder for someone to say, oh, I got this, I'll do it on my own.
Yeah.
I think that's way harder than saying, hey, Scotty, I'm really struggling, I need some help with this, can you come and talk? Or let's
Right.
go for coffee or something like that. I think it's much easier to say that, maybe because I'm in the position, or we're in the positions that we are, that we would be okay with saying, hey, let's just go for a coffee and have a talk, rather than keep that stuff in,
Yeah.
It's definitely tough to keep that in, and it's tough to talk about it, but I think the worth and the value of talking about it is, it's priceless.
Right.
Really, I think that when it comes down to it, we do need to teach mental health in school.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess I really needed to hear this week, because this week I've just been feeling like we've spent every Sunday this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, I rush back from the cottage and want to make sure that I'm here for this. And it's not that necessarily that I want to be, it's that I feel like there's a responsibility now. Having lost my best friend to suicide, I don't want any other families to ever have to go through it. And to be completely honest with you, some days I wish I could trade places with them, just because the responsibility is one that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
It's one that I feel I have to do because I've seen firsthand what it does to people, what it does to families.
Yeah.
And the unanswered questions. It's just the worst thing. It's too much power for any person to have. It really is.
And ultimately, we have to, it's almost like us to choose that if it is a responsibility. Like, I think in recovery, because people have given so many tools in recovery, like especially from alcoholism, and like my counselors and stuff, they've given me that stuff and tools on how to live. I didn't have to pay for any of those tools, right?
Right.
So I almost feel like in order for me to keep those tools, I have to give those away. I have to show other people how to use these tools. And if I don't, then I feel like I'm cheating the system, or cheating recovery if I don't give this stuff away. So it really does help to help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're ever struggling and down and out, go help an old lady across the street.
Exactly.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure it is. And I think that's what we need to do is we're so narrow-minded into this screen right here that we don't even recognize people around us.
Yeah.
And then they're hurting, right? Go volunteer, go walk a dog, go read a storybook or something,
Sure.
Get yourself out of yourself.
I think you're absolutely right. That's what it is. It's about...
it's amazing how much better you feel when you do that.
Yeah, sure it is, And you think, I used to think, I'll never be a public speaker. Like, I can't read. I can't read very well.
Right.
And I was never very good at speaking in front of my class.
Yeah.
And I just worked on it, and then the fear comes over, and you're like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then I always have this thought. I have that thought every time I speak. You see me speak, and I'm like, I'm getting vulnerable, and nervous.
Right. And then you point it outwards.
And then I put it outwards because I know there's someone that maybe needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Even if I'm a shitty speaker, they're going to go
No,
and talk about it.
Yeah.
They're going to go and talk about mental health, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like, I just want people to normalize a conversation, and if that freaks me out, then it means that I'm doing something important.
Right.
Like, if it scares me, it means I'm about to do something brave.
Good.
Which, I guess I've just come to a point where I'd much rather feel that fear and do it anyways, kind of thing. Like you talked about last week. Right? Just feel that, do it anyways, and the like rewards from that are unreal. Like if you're struggling, help someone or like, share your story with someone, right? Like I think that's the best thing I've ever been able to do. Is we've all had so much shame around sharing the shitty parts of our story. But when we get that out, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the cure. I think that's the cure for addiction is connection, right? Relationships.
Yeah. So when it comes to suicide, how do you cope with someone? How would you cope with someone if someone said, "Hey, Paulie, hey Scott, I feel like it's not worth it anymore. It's helpless. I'm hopeless." How would you deal with something like that? Are you still afraid to address the topic? Like, hey man, you sound like you're suicidal. Is this, or have we talked enough to know that it's okay to talk about suicide openly and honestly? Would you just listen? Tell me, what approach would you take?
There's and people watching that are on my Facebook will know that if I haven't heard from someone, and even if I don't know them, or say I've never met them, but I have seen them and they've got a hold of me through 1 and 5, I'll ask them, say, hey, how's your anxiety?
Right.
Or and most of the time people don't answer me back.
Yeah.
But I know that I've done my part. Right?
Right.
I've never, because I lost a good buddy 2 years ago, and I went back in my Facebook messages. Jeff McNee was like an awesome guy, and the last message I said to him was, I love you like a brother.
Yeah.
And that gave me a little bit of peace, right? Like, that gave me a little bit of peace that the last thing he definitely knew that I loved him.
Right.
And I don't ever want someone in my life to unfortunately die and me not be able to give that opportunity. So I always, even if I don't know someone that well, I'll reach out and say, hey, how's your depression doing? Or, do you want to go get a coffee?
Right.
We can talk about whatever. We don't even have to talk about depression. Let's talk about something else. Or what do you love?
Right.
Let's start talking about what you love, right?
Right.
Some people are, I don't love anything. Well, like, let's talk about loving nothing then.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Sure.
I'll be a positive Paulie all day long.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
You got a good name for that, positive Paulie.
It's not trademarked yet, but...
Well, I think it's important to know...
Your book of sayings.
Yeah.
Positive Paulie's book of sayings.
I think it's important that we clarify that people that are suicidal, it's not that they want to die. It's just that they don't know how to live.
Yeah, they don't know how to cope. They don't know how to deal with these feelings and emotions coming in. They're overwhelmed.
They don't know how to change. They don't know how to live.
They feel like there's no place to crawl out of a dark hole, right?
And this is something that's clearly still, it's going to continue to be an issue until we're all open and talk about our shit openly and honestly. We're not afraid to talk about it and address it. And, we didn't say it this episode yet, but we are in suicide season as of right now. This is, and it's shitty that there is a season for it. It's shitty that we have to talk about it. But statistically,
it's horrible.
It's here.
I know, it's terrible. And we're in it right now. And that's why this week I kind of wanted to take a shift. It was supposed to be an episode about time management, but I figured after the reading that I've done, let's address suicide once more. And just what we can do to kind of put people at ease.
I think we have to detach the shame from feeling suicidal. Like, I think that if you're feeling suicidal, that's a normal response to maybe an abnormal circumstance that's happened in your life.
Yeah.
And that you're not a bad person for thinking that you're suicidal.
And who's to say
given the right coping skills?
Exactly. Someone just hasn't given you the wrench to say, here's some self-love, right? Or, here's some meditation, or here's to go to work out, right? Like, no one's given them or us those tools, or we don't want to use those tools, but at the same time,
to talk to you.
And that's exactly it. I think that we always need support, right? Like, no matter what, I think support. I didn't get myself this sober. There's no way that I did this on my own. Like, I give a lot of credit to my higher power, like the universe, but I give the equal amount of credit to the people in my life, because I was a shit tank who really didn't want to get sober. I just wanted the shit to end.
Yeah.
I wanted the chaos to end, and in order for the chaos to end, I needed to get sober. And I didn't want to get sober. I love drinking. I'm Irish. I'm from the East Coast. I love having that culture in me. Yeah. But I couldn't do it and deal with my depression, or deal with my suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation. Even in my recovery, I've had suicidal ideation, and I think that recovery's.
How would you define that ideation? Like, what do you mean by that? Because I've heard that before, and I don't exactly know what it is.
I think, for me, the suicidal ideation is actively having a plan.
Really?
Yeah. But I could be wrong in that, but that's how I define it. And that's it sucks to say, but I've had a plan a few times. You know what I mean? And that's a tough thing, and that's when I know that I'm in crisis mode with myself, that I have to reach out if I have a plan, and maybe not written out, but if I start thinking about, well, this is the tree that I'm going to go hang myself from, or I'm going to go get an electric cord, and this is how I'm going to hang myself from this specific tree. I've had those thoughts in my head, and I have had to reach out and say, this is what I want to do, and then de-escalate, debrief that situation. What I mean? Yeah. I think a good thing is that I think a thing that keeps me safe from suicide now is I don't want anyone to clean up the mess. Yeah. I don't want my buddies to have to come and find that. I don't want there to have to be, someone walk in and see me hanging. Right. No one. I don't want that at all. And maybe because I have compassion now, and if that keeps me safe, it keeps me alive, then so be it. Right. I still live with depression. I'm going to live with depression, I think, forever. I don't know if I'll ever get that cured. But at the same time, I'm not going to suffer as much as I used to. Suffering's optional with it, for sure. Right. I think a lot, like last week, it's our attitude. Yeah. It comes with our attitude, and society's attitude, where we blame society, but we are society, so we need to fucking do something about it. Sure. We can't sit back and say, oh, he'll do it, or he'll do it. We need to, as society, say, I'll do something about it. Right. I'm going to do something about it. Even if you're not affected. Yeah. Which I would be hard pressed to see anyone that's not affected by mental illness.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I think every single person on the planet is affected by it.
I think it's just mental. I mean, we call it mental illness, but people are, I'm not mentally ill because illness, it just kind of signifies that you're sick in the head.